Hi everyone, and thank you for joining on our episode 0 podcast, TAMCAST, the podcast that is talking about healthcare, especially in Canada. Here today with us, our guests, Vithuja and Thomas, who are going to introduce themselves, and Jess, who is the founder and president of TimeCare, is going to be part of the team, and we are going to ask questions to our guests who are students in Canada. And today's topic is really about healthcare for students in Canada. So, hi Vithuja, hi Thomas, hi Jess. Thank you for being here. I just wanted to ask you to introduce yourself, to tell us a bit about yourself. We know that you are a student, but I'm sure you are more than that.
Sure, I can go first there. My name is Thomas. I'm a student at the University of Waterloo, and I'm in the Economics and Business program. Things outside of school I like to do. I like to play sports, play a lot of sports, play spike ball and hockey and basketball with all my friends. But also I like to just wind down, play video games as well, play the sports video games too, So I'm all over the place. And I like doing a lot of creative stuff as well outside of school. So yeah, that's a bit about me.
Thank you,
I,
Thomas.
I can go next. Hi, I'm Vithuja. I'm also a student at the University of Waterloo. I'm in my third year in the Science and Business program. Outside of school, also someone who really loves doing some creative stuff. So whether that be crafts or some digital work. I'm also really into the Marvel movies. So I go a lot with my friends when they release. And that's kind of like our thing to do together. Yeah.
Thank you, Vithuja. Jess, if you want to introduce yourself as well.
Yeah, hi, I'm Jess. As Sid mentioned, I am the president and founder of TAMCARE. TAMCARE is one of the adventures I've been on in the business world, but a little bit of my background. I am a nurse by trade, and I worked as an emerge nurse and a long-term care nurse and a home care nurse. I got into selling insurance and then development, and then I built a technology company that TAMCARE is using called TAMVUs, and ultimately, I love seniors, and that's what we're taking care of is the seniors and the baby boomers that are not getting good access to healthcare. So that's what TAMCARE is.
Cool. I think it's important for us to really understand the healthcare for students. I mean, Jess has a huge experience in healthcare in Canada, and she's been setting up businesses around the healthcare and how to improve healthcare. So today's topic is really about students and healthcare, and it's something quite interesting. And we would like to hear from you, and we would like to hear what do you think is the status of healthcare, and what do you think can be improved, or what do you think can be changed with regards to healthcare for students in Canada?
Yeah, I could say a bit on that. I think something I could definitely see improving on that front is maybe at post-secondary institutions, maybe incorporating some sort of education with that, some sort of mandatory course, maybe along with all the programs. I know in my program you have to have a language credit and you have to have a few other arts courses. So maybe even something that's as basic as, like nutrition or mental health 101, sort of, these basic courses at the university. Really, I feel like I've personally just learned a lot from them, and they've really helped, launch a bunch of, me diving into the whole economics space. I think it's really influential for me. So just even having sort of that basic baseline education and basic topics down, I think would definitely help students be more aware of that and sort of internalize that and kind of implement those healthy practices into their life, whether it's nutrition or exercise, mental health, or dealing with ways of managing, stress when it comes to new university life. I think that could be a good starting point for every university.
And you think the media for education for students will be like TikTok or Snapchat, or do you think about any other kind of way of getting the education content to the students?
I was thinking more like a course, like an introductory course,
Okay.
but as well as that, like, on all fronts, posting those messages on social media as well kind of helps people get aware and get into that mentality. I think that's a very good idea as well.
Cool. Vithuja, what do you think?
Yeah, I definitely agree with Thomas. I think as students, we tend to get overwhelmed with our academic life and start to neglect our health. So when it comes to stress or mental health or even eating right or sleeping right, we tend to overlook that and kind of focus more on our academics. And I think it's really important that we help students internalize that it is really important to prioritize their health. And on top, so as you said, the course would be, I think, really beneficial. Something I would add on to that is improving health insurance literacy. I think we can empower students to navigate the healthcare system a little bit more effectively. So this can mean just providing educational resources or workshops on how to understand the basics of health insurance and what coverages they do have and how and when they can use that coverage. I think personally for me, I think last week I didn't know if I was covered or not for a certain appointment. And I didn't know if I was covered through OHIP or UHIP. And I kind of struggled a little bit. And I think if I were to have it more information on how to use my coverage and what coverage I do have, it would have been a little bit easier. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's a really good point. I'll let you finish and then touch on something.
No, I was just going to jump to a different thing, but you can add on to that.
Well, I mean, I went to school maybe 20 years ago, and what I experienced was at that point, if any health concern happened, I would go to, the school clinic, but they wouldn't have access to any of my records. So really, they were just blind and diagnosing and not really knowing anything about me. And I think that's a good change, is getting, the education regarding students taking their records with them so that their doctor is aware of their, holistic health picture, as opposed to just the crisis that's happening at that time. And that goes for mental health as well. Mental health, nobody really wants to talk about, and who wants to talk about it with a stranger? I mean, you move away to school and you've been dealing with somebody, working out your problems, and then you don't have that person anymore. So I think there's some need for medical information to be transferred properly to the new person taking over.
Yeah, that's a big topic, like patient or individual education about health, and it could be about health tips and tricks and how to get healthy and also, as you said, Vithuja, the educations about health insurances. Like there is a big trend right now who says everyone needs to learn about money, what is money and how to make it, right? And I think the same applies for healthcare, how to get literate about healthcare, health insurance, health benefits, and prevention. And what Jess was saying is also very important. The tools that you can use to actually be empowered as a patient or as an individual, owning your medical information, so then you are more empowered to do more things with regards to your health, which is critical. And then it comes to this topic of accessibility, right? How do you find the accessibility to healthcare in Canada as a student? Is it something that you've been, you've been facing challenge, or it was very easy to access, or what is your experience on that?
Yeah, I could go say a bit on that. Definitely, just going into it, probably before, my whole co-op experience, I just kind of didn't have that sort of literacy, I guess, the healthcare or thinking about it proactively. So for me, it was always just, go to the doctor's appointment and get out of there, and that was it. But I've started to sort of think about a bigger picture now, and I think in terms of accessibility, I think the biggest thing that is limiting that accessibility is sort of the institutional hurdles. You have, a bunch of separate doctors and hospitals, and you're going to, and you're talking with your university counselor, or you're going to a doctor's appointment. It's just all over the place, kind of very, very separated. And so I'm not really, seeing in terms of accessibility, like the fact that I can go to any of these places and just have that information ready. I don't really see that. So it's definitely, I think that's something that can improve sort of the interoperability. I think that's the word. Just sort of bringing it all together and bringing all those places in one sort of space is something I think that could improve.
Absolutely. Yeah. Vithuja, do you have something to add on this?
I think Thomas makes a great point. It really ties into the question we were answering earlier about having your doctors not really know your health history and how that could be difficult, having to repeat the same story over and over again, or even start from the complete beginning every time you go to a doctor's appointment. And another thing that I feel like could be a barrier to healthcare access is the lack of awareness of the available healthcare services. I think me personally, because I'm from Ontario, I think I know how to access my services and where to go. But maybe for students who are not from Ontario, who are out of province or even out of Canada, it may be difficult for them to find those resources and find someone to help them out. And that can be really difficult and really scary if you don't know how to access the healthcare that you need. I think cultural and language differences also play a huge role in creating barriers to accessing healthcare, especially for immigrant or minority populations or just international students. And the university or healthcare providers really should prioritize cultural competency and ensure that there is language access services such as interpretation or providing translated materials that are readily available so they can understand the healthcare that they are receiving. As a first generation Canadian myself, my parents don't speak or understand English very well. So I've been having to go to doctor's appointments to translate since I was really little. And that can be really difficult as someone who's not able to explain certain things to them properly. And I think having resources and translated materials readily available can be a huge help to them. But even in students who are not very, very well versed in English, this can be really beneficial to them to just be able to understand their own healthcare.
No, absolutely. That's a big topic as well. And Jess, you are been setting up this mobile app as well called Tambus, which is an app that actually you can describe it better than me, but it's an app that helps to store, share, and process the medical information for individuals, and it gives like a full picture of the medical records and even the personal information in one place, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I mean, the features of it are, anytime you go to a doctor's appointment and you want to remember what happened, you can document it. It has a time and the date, and then you can actually share it with other people, or you can export it. So the same goes for the personal data trust, where you can store your blood work, any x-ray reports. I know now at the old age of 41, I have encountered multiple injuries, and when you sustain a new injury or you have to go for surgery, you always have to repeat what happened or what's gone on, and sometimes to the point of the exact date and time, and even for insurances as well, like even to apply for insurance. So now you can have a record and carry that around with you wherever you go. And the best feature, I think, is that you can export it prior to an appointment. So as you, Thomas and Vithuja, were saying about the repetition of health information, they have that information before, so you don't spend your time wasting energy on information that you don't need to tell them because they've read it prior to the appointment.
Yeah, I was actually discussing this topic with someone else, and And it's true that whenever you visit a doctor, they only have one part of the full picture, right? They don't have all the information that of the patient that they are seeing. And so, and nobody has the full picture. Only the patient could have the full picture of medical records. So this app, Tambus, is the way, is the tool, is the platform to help the patients to store everything from different data source and to be able to really, as you said, Thomas, at the beginning, to educate, to empower, and as you said, Vithuja, to actually understand better even your benefit in healthcare insurance. You can have this app who explain to you what you can do with your health insurance, what you can access, what you can consume, what is you have to pay for. I mean, there is a lot of things you can leverage on this with this innovation, which I think is very interesting because you brought those different topics, but I can see that this innovation is actually a way to answer those topics. Let's move now to another topic, which is quite critical worldwide, but also in Canada. It's the mental health issues. And this topic has been very prevalent, especially during and after COVID, amongst students. I mean, we saw the toll that took the COVID-19 on students with regards to depression, with regards to motivation, with regards to diet, anxiety, sleep issues. So can you tell us more about your experience and how do you think we can improve mental health for students?
Yeah, I think definitely at our school, there's lots of resources through the university to uplift your mental health. You know, there's lots of counseling and support groups and stuff like that. But I think something definitely that could just help uplift it or elevate it is sort of just recognizing that it's a problem. I think that's a big step. And universities, they do a lot of these programs and stuff, but I just don't think that people are internalizing this message or taking it in sort of like applying it to themselves basically. So you see all these things, and it's just a lot more intangible than physical health. So you don't maybe net recognize it as a problem or something you should focus on. And whereas is like physical health, you can go to a doctor's appointment and you get a blood work and you see this result in your blood, and now something's wrong, and now oh, there's a problem, we have to fix it. This medication will help fix that. But where it comes to mental health, it's sort of like an ongoing battle. It's sort of just an ongoing thing you have to recognize and keep up. So I think the big thing is recognition, or just, internalizing that message, see how that applies to yourself and in ways you can do that in yourself. So I think that's probably the biggest thing in uplifting mental health is sort of internalizing that message.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you are from U Waterloo, and we know that U Waterloo has been doing a lot of things, as you said, around mental health, and they are providing a lot of services, support, and helps. But it's at the end of the day, as you said, it comes from the individual who recognize the fact that he has a mental health issue and will seek support provided by the university, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Vithuja, you have something?
Yeah, definitely agree. Recognition is super important. Being able to recognize that there is something off and like being able to identify something's wrong within yourself can be a really scary thing and sometimes difficult. And especially if you're moved away from home and you don't have a strong support system around you right away and don't have a lot of people to lean on, or just uncomfortable with doing that, it can be really difficult. I know in my culture, being South Asian, the topic of mental health is really taboo and it's not talked about at all. There is progress in recent years, but obviously, if you've been growing around a community that kind of stigmatizes mental health, it's a little harder for you to access those services you need because you feel uncomfortable with it. And this could be the reality for a lot of students who come from cultures where mental health is a little more taboo. So educational institutions could help these students by supporting students with unique circumstances like this and being able to speak to someone familiar with these cultural norms and contexts and someone they can talk to and relate. And offering that support can be super helpful. I think Waterloo does a great job with all the resources that they are providing us with, but just having a little more recognition for unique circumstances could be super helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. Jess, do you want to add on this topic on mental health?
I think you both made some really, really good points. It's got to be so difficult to, when I went to school, I, as a single mom, moved 3 hours away from home into a basement apartment, and it was traumatic. And you're so busy with all your schoolwork and doing all that stuff, you forget about taking care of yourself. And I think I probably gained about 30 pounds and ate very poorly, and it was very stressful. So being aware of that during that period of time is most important. I think you both made really good points.
Oh yeah, that's critical, and it's a critical topic, right? The repercussion of mental health on the society is so huge that I think they should be aware, as you both said, to identify when someone needs help, or for this person to actually identify that it needs help. And it's quite interesting topic, but so important. The other thing that we wanted to discuss is the prevention. Right now, it's a very trendy to have a good lifestyle, right? And to we have those three topics, which is eating, sleeping, and activity. And the idea that if you get those three right, you should be healthy and aging much less. So do you have any tricks, or what is your position vis-a-vis of prevention, right? What do you do to stay young?
Well, I don't know how I stay so youthful, but I just I think when I think of that, I think of my fitness. I think of working out. For me, what helps me keep track of that is sort of keeping myself accountable. So I'll track every workout and how much I'm doing and see my progress, by the numbers. I think that's something little tip or trick that's helped me, stay on track to my goals and sort of setting those goals as well. I think that's just the biggest thing for me that helps, me think of the bigger picture in all of this. So I'm thinking more when we say like preventative care, I think more fitness and exercise. That's just my brain, but yeah, I think that's mainly how I retain my youth.
Vithuja, what is your secret to stay young?
I think I also kind of jumped to fitness, but I think something that is super important that students always overlook is eating healthy and sleeping. And obviously, as a student, it becomes like the normal lifestyle to not eat, not sleep properly when you're having so much work to do. And personally, I do the same thing during exam time. I live in my room and I will eat like a bag of chips, and that's like my meal for the entire day, which is super bad, and I know that, but it's just the way I deal with stress. And obviously, I need to work on that. So tips and tricks would be just planning ahead. I think as a student, the hardest thing is just time management in general, from jumping classes, studying, kind of fitting in your personal life into your schedule as well. So planning ahead, like gym times after classes, or just meal prepping and having those meals ahead of time, or like ready ahead of time so you just can grab it and go. So you're kind of guaranteed more of a healthier meal than eating on campus, or like eating out would be a lot better. That's just something I do. And also sleeping, I used to really just sleep like 2-3 hours, and that was enough for me. But I think over time, it's been really affecting me. So now I sleep a lot earlier. So I kind of set like a deadline to just finish doing whatever I'm doing at 12, and everything else can just be dealt with the morning after.
I see. That's a good trick. So monitoring things with Thomas and really putting borders and limits for Vithuja. I think it's good. Jess, do you have any tricks to stay young?
Well, I think finding something you're passionate about, and that brings me back to, I think, second year of school for me. I love soccer. I was a big soccer player. And I decided as an older student and mother to try out for the Durham College Lords soccer team, not thinking I would make it. And I did make it. I became the #1 bench warmer for the entire season. Actually, not the entire season, but I loved training, and I would go home and I'd take Jordan to the soccer field and we'd train, go around the cones, like constantly training. Near the end of the season, I actually we made nationals. We went to BC and I never left the field. So I was so passionate about it in my spare time. I would just train and it was fantastic. So find a passion and challenge yourself and don't just have your nose in the books.
Yeah, absolutely. Passion is everything. It makes things a bit easier, right? Because you are living it, right? That's very interesting. And I think the fact that you are part of a community also helps you maybe to stay motivated into your lifestyle, right? If you have a friend who always calling you to go to the gym or someone who helps you to eat well and to reminds you that you look tired and you need to take more sleeps. So I think that as a student you need to keep the community very close to you. Yes, to wrap up, I would like to ask a question. What advice would you give to a younger student with regards to healthcare or with regards to the life as a student in Waterloo that you would love to receive actually at that time?
So is it health advice or a general?
It can be both, can be health or general.
Okay. I don't know. I think it's definitely at least first years or going into university, just not really being aware of what I wanted to do or where I was going with this. So I think just getting those goals down, getting those, or like Jess said, finding your passion. I think that was like, if I did it a lot sooner, I would have, definitely saved some time there. I think yeah, finding that passion or goal to achieve with school or life or whatever it is, I think that's really motivating and really the driving force in my life that just keeps me going there. So yeah, I think I don't have it fully figured out yet, but it's still working on it. But I think it's a lot better definitely than when I first started.
Well, that's cool. Okay, Vithuja, what advice would you give
Um,
to a younger student?
I think I would say that being a student shouldn't be your only like personality trait. It's not your entire identity, and you're allowed to have a life outside of that. I think first year students especially, we get super stressed out, and when we're coming into a new school, that it needs to be like academics, academics, academics. But although academics are really important, you're allowed to do things outside of it, and you don't have to feel guilty for it. You're allowed to focus on things that you're passionate about, even if it doesn't directly relate to what you're doing in school.
Yeah, absolutely, that's true. Yes, mitigating the importance of things in your life. And that comes back to all the issue we talked about prevention, mental health, and lifestyle. It's just, I think, to just recap what you said is being educated, having access to all the benefits and services that you can consume, and really being well aware of yourself and your situation with regards to your mental health, with your situation with regards to the stress, anxiety, and it's true that as a student you could be isolated, right? So I think it's just the opposite that you need to do. You need to be in a community. You need to have people around you that actually can trigger the alarm if they see something wrong going on with you, actually, so they can actually point to you that you look tired, or you lost weight, or you don't look very happy, and this is the trigger that will help you identify that you might have mental health issues, and then seek support with all the services provided by U Waterloo. And I think Jess made a very good point about passion. Find your passion and stick to it. I think this is so critical, and we hear that every day, but it's not something that we are really focusing on, I think. Jess, do you want to have the final note?
Yeah, I think this has been awesome for sure. I think one thing I'd like to also point out is kind of live in the moment. We are so like tunnel vision, and we have our goals and we have our end milestones, but like there's so much that happens in that moment that is so important and can change the way you view something, the way you feel. And if we're just looking in the future, dwelling on the past, we're not going to have those experiences. So what I've learned, and I'm still learning because I'm very goal orientated and tunnel vision and multiple tunnel vision, but try to celebrate those wins and those moments that matter would be important.
Wonderful. That's a very good note. Thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your insights on healthcare issues for students. It was a pleasure having you on TAMCAST. To all our listeners out there, stay tuned for more exciting episodes where we continue to explore the world of healthcare. Take care and see you next time.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.